Well, to YouTubers, I hope you can see this old Chainsawbob Nichols. We're almost to that 500,000 mark, 499,803 views on my videos. That's in, I guess, about 7 years I've been on the channel or something like that. What about that? Almost 500,000 people. What's old Chainsawbob? Tonight I wanted to tell you guys a story about ice fishing, since we're going to get down to below zero here around Blue Ridge, Georgia tomorrow. It made me start thinking about ice fishing in Indiana. The story goes back a long ways. Must have been 20-25 years ago, I'd guess, or maybe longer than that. A buddy of mine called me up and wanted to know if I wanted to go ice fishing, and I'd never been before. So I met him out there on the lake at Geist Reservoir there in Indianapolis. And he had this sled that had a seat built onto it with a heater underneath the seat, and a place to get your feet up off the ice, a place to carry the auger and his fishing rods and all the things that you need for ice fishing. And he was all dressed up with his heavy boots on and a big old parka on, and I'm out there in just an overcoat and work boots, and we drill a couple of holes in the ice about 5 feet apart, put some bait on them, and we drop the lines down in the holes and stand there and try to do some fishing. Well, we stood out there, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 hours out there, never caught a single thing. And I'm just literally freezing to death. It's about 5 or 6 degrees out there. And there's a guy come walking from all the way to the other side of the lake. We saw him walk over there. And that's a big lake too. And he walked all the way over to where we was at, and he was all dressed up with a big parka and big old heavy boots, and had his fishing gear and everything, and had an auger there, and he dug him a hole about 4 or 5 feet away from where we was at. Dropped his fishing line in there, and he started pulling out first one fish and then another and then another. And we're looking at this guy in absolute amazement. We've been standing there all this time, not even got a bite. And he's pulling fish out and laying them on the ice there to freeze. And he must have a dozen or more out there. And I finally walk over and says, "Buddy," I says, "what on earth are you doing to catch all these fish?" And he looked at me real funny and everything. He says, "Mum." I said, "What did you say?" He says, "Mum." I said, "Buddy, I just can't understand you." So he pulls his gloves off under his armpits there, kind of cups his hands out in front of himself like this, and he goes, "Pooey." He says, "You gotta keep your worms warm." So I hope you like my little fishing story.